Alright, so for those of you just tuning in, my name is Resonance22, and today I'm going to be giving you all my live commentary on some Expert Age of Empires 2 games between Mentalist and Seoul. These matches are from the Empire Collective Cup, which is a round-robin style tournament hosted by myself and ZeroEmpires that features many of the top players from around the world. What makes this tournament particularly exciting, of course, is the settings. In each of these 4-game series, neither player will know which civilization their opponent chose until the game begins. In Game 2, there will be no banned civilizations, and the loser from Game 1 gets to pick the map from any of the standard Aoe2 maps, excluding Nomad. Alright, so without further ado, let's introduce the players and jump straight into the game. But actually, right before I do that, I'm going to go open up the music, as the music does not play for some reason. Just give me a second. Cool, it's going to start at the Conqueror soundtrack, so that's sick. Alright, so, into the game itself, at the top half of the map we have Mentalist playing as the Red Aztecs, and on the bottom half of the map we have Seoul playing as the Blue Aztecs. Jesus, every single Game 2 that I've seen so far in the Empire Collective has always been, well, almost always, it's been Arabia, Aztec Mirror, or at least every Arabia game I've seen so far has been Aztec Mirror, and well, that shouldn't be too surprising necessarily, considering that we know that the Aztecs are just a very strong Arabia civilization in general. And a huge part of this has to do with the fact that, well, if we dive straight into their tech tree, oh my god. Villagers carry +5. Let's talk a little bit about the Aztecs as they're just doing stuff. Villagers carry +5. This means they spend less time walking. That's great. It actually makes a huge difference. Military units create 15% faster. Self-explanatory. The monk bonus isn't generally super relevant, but sometimes it can be if you go for a monk rush. Free loom! Let's talk about free loom! Oh my god! You start with 100 gold when you play Age of Empires 2, guys. Loom costs 50 gold. The amount of time it takes to research Loom is... Oh my god! AutoSal donated $56. Says your YouTube got me through some rough times. Love your sense of humor and commentary. If you have time to do a playthrough of any AAA titles, Metal Gear Solid 5 coming next month. Please. Well, thank you so much for your donation. That is ridiculously generous of you, AutoSal. I really appreciate it. Oh my goodness. Back into the game itself. Let's talk a little bit about free loom, as now with that money, we can afford to get loom. Okay, so basically, it takes 50 gold to be able to get loom. So it also takes, the amount of time it takes to research loom takes the same amount of time that it takes to create a villager. So by researching loom, not only are you down 50 gold, but you're also down a villager, and you can really snowball the game. Like, honestly, like, one villager makes a huge difference at the highest level. It really does. Every little bit counts when we're dealing with players this good like Seoul and Mentalist. So being behind one villager is honestly devastating. And not only that, but being able to have 100 gold means that you can go for the 5 militia drush. Normally, again, you'd be left with 50 gold, and militia cost 20 gold, so you'll only be able to make 2 militia, 3 if you mine 10 gold, which everyone does. But the Aztecs can go up to 5 militia, and that makes it their Dark Age rush, the drush, super strong. Militia in the early game might not be strong enough to actually, like, kill any villagers in a straight-up fight, but what they can do is force the enemy villagers to fight you back, and then they get some idle time, and then that way, they're not gathering anything, and they just kind of fall apart. So you'll be able to do a lot of damage by going for the militia drush, and that's what makes it so strong. Wow, that boar almost leashed back for whatever reason. We see a good little deer lure here from Mentalist, as Mentalist is using his scout to sort of push the deer into his town center, as deer do run away from any units that are nearby them. Barracks coming down here from Mentalist, relatively straightforward here, as I'm going to speed this up, ever so slightly, and try and bring us a little bit closer to whatever time it is actually for them, but there's a bit of a spectator delay, so we can only go so fast. We can't be Sonic today. Now, if we talk a little bit about the map, Soul's map is interesting, as he is able to build this house here, although I do think that there's... Is there a gap? Can a unit pass through this? I think a unit can pass through this, but it's not completely clear to me. Can a unit pass through this? I think a unit can pass through this. Well, either way, I was going to say that this is really easy for Seoul to protect his wood line here by building these 2 houses, because this tree is conveniently positioned there, and he creates sort of like a funnel, right? He can build a house over here and just wall this up and just try and funnel enemy units into his town center. And then that makes it really hard for any, aggression to come in here, as the town center is just too strong. Oh my god, don't lose that vill! Oh, phew. Mentalist here, narrowly avoiding death. So yeah, again, his map is interesting in the sense that he can very easily protect his economy at the back over here, just with the, careful positioning of his trees, having the back forward bushes, but he is electing to actually build his barracks at the top of said hill here, mostly because he knows that he can't afford to bottle himself in necessarily you know, with this huge hill at the front, because this opponent is going to be fighting on top of that hill the entire time. That could be bad news bears. Mentalist here going to go move out here. He has 4 militia, and he's going to build a 5th one right about now and fight with this Eagle Warrior. But the Eagle Warrior is so strong in the Dark Age. Another reason why the Aztecs are so good on Arabia. It's all about the early game on a map like as open as this, where it can be relatively difficult to wall. One militia just going to go down here for free. Is Mentalist going to take the fight versus Soul Scout, but Soul Scout's too strong. That villager, that militia is just gonna die. And we see a little bit of fight on the hill here as Soul gonna like long distance hunt these deer, but he just walked in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time, and we'll see if he reacts before he loses a villager, but he might end up just losing one entirely. Here comes the defensive drush here from Soul. The whole point was to fight on this hill, because if you're on a higher elevation, you do more damage and you take less. He doesn't want to be at an elevation disadvantage. That being said, 2 villagers down here, that's going to be so very bad for Soul. I don't know if he'll be able to recover from that. But he did end up taking down 1 militia for free, so it does kind of even out, as these guys severely outnumbered here by this 4 militia and this 1 scout. Still outnumbered. Mentalist is going to have to pull on out. But the thing is Mentalist got 2 villagers off that, so it's more than worth it. Flash says, Residence 22, when is it good to drush? And I would say that in a 1v1 in Arabia, when you're the Aztecs, you almost always do that. Mostly because, again, your drush is just so strong. Your militia crate faster, you don't have to mine any gold for that. You would drush if you're trying to fast Castle Age on Arabia, and you're not in the pocket position, essentially. Because going for just a naked fast Castle Age is generally pretty risky, unless you've seen that one Break the Meta video I did on YouTube. Where we saw a player actually go for a fast Castle Age with no drush. But generally speaking, if you want to go for fast Castle Age, take advantage of whatever units you have in the Castle Age, then you want to drush first to distract your opponent and create enough space to allow you to actually get to the Castle Age safely without being punished. Because if you just do nothing, then you're so vulnerable until you get to the Castle Age, right? So then you just lose. And in this case, in the Aztec matchup, the drush is just super strong. But you don't have to drush all the time. There's some player preference in that as well. Your drush is also stronger if your opponent's map is more open. And in this case, I mean, while Soul... Okay, yeah, there was a gap there, and he's going to go close that one up. I mean, while Soul's map, you know, like his forage bushes are kind of hard to raid, he does have to... It's like really hard for him to protect his gold mine, so he has this huge gold up the front, and he's going to have like a lot of exposed villagers. Mentalist here actually has a really good map in some sense, because he has this huge forest right here. These two are actually connected, and this makes for a relatively easy wall off, and he can actually protect his gold too. So Mentalist map is actually insane. He can just close this area off, he can wall up to this cliff, and he can wall over here, and he's basically good to go. Now, you don't always have to drush into a fast Castle Age. You can drush into like a Feudal Age rush if you want. It's really up to you, but generally speaking, if you feel like you want to exploit some Castle Age units, then, you know, you could definitely drush there. So let's say you wanted to, you know, go for Knights or something in a 1v1, depending on your opponent's civ. You wanted to go for Huns Cavalry Archers. You could drush in the Dark Age and then get to the Castle Age safely and start spamming some Cav Archers. Archer range coming down here from Mentalist as he's prepping for that fast Castle Age transition after said drush. And he's going to be able to start advancing as soon as he wants to click the button, and the button has been clicked. He's advancing to the next stage. 1 militia left here from Soul on a scouting mission. Going to come in here and try and poke at Mentalist Lumber Camp. Now, of course, by the way, guys, this tournament is hosted by ZeroEmpires and I, and the tournament, of course, is being organized by him, so major thanks. Happy to be here. This match is really late at night for him, so I'm filling in for him right now. And yeah, this is one of the first few live games I've ever had the pleasure of casting. I can't wait to see how the rest of this tournament comes out. Super duper excited. This militia gonna sneak away. I would have had the spectator overlay, but I didn't know I would be casting today. I just got back from vacation, so I didn't have a chance to download that boobly fancy spectator overlay. But the next time I stream, you will see me, of course, with that, as it took me a while to go set all this stuff up. And it looks like both players here are going to be just doing a relatively standard transition into crossbowmen. Archer production beginning right about now, so that way, once he gets to the Castle Age, he'll be able to get the crossman upgrade, he'll be able to get the bodkin arrow, and just do like a huge timing push. But we're going to need to see a lot more villagers on gold in time for this if he's going to be able to afford that, but at least he can get crossmen. It's a powerful timing attack, as this militia here not going to be able to do too much, only 15 HP and all alone. Both players here spamming archers, and the fight will begin very, very soon. Now, if I miss any of your messages in the Twitch chat, my apologies, as I'm trying to focus a lot more on this game than what than normally I would be doing if I was just streaming regularly. If you want to get in on future streams, of course, you can just head to my Twitch page, scroll underneath the video player, and you can find the schedule there. I have plenty of other Expert Aoe2 games on my YouTube page as well. So feel free to go check those out. But a huge chunk of the tournament coverage will also be on ZeroEmpires' YouTube channel. I have all that in the video description. We see the army moving up here as Mentalist going to get to the Castle Age by a fairly substantial margin. This means that he's going to get here with the crossbowman upgrade before Seoul has a chance to start even researching it. Now, Crossman does research pretty quickly, but it looks like he's been caught out. Is he going to move forward with these archers, or is he pulling out? Either way, he had fletching when Mentalist didn't, but he doesn't want to take this engagement until he actually has the crossbowman upgrade. Mentalist going to look for some villagers to go pick off here. Going to go force a couple of these farmers to go idle, go into that town center, and do some economic damage there. Force Mentalist to go reassign those farmers, and look at him, he has to reassign them all to wood, and he has so much wood already. But Seoul is going to try and do a little bit of a counterattack, and this is when Seoul's map starts to really suck. Like, while he's able to protect his backwood and his berries, which makes the drush a lot less effective from Mentalist, which we saw, but Mentalist's drush failed for many, many reasons. This is when things start to get real ugly, as he has this huge hill at the front of his base. It makes defending against this attack extremely difficult, and Mentalist here going to be building a forward siege workshop, and he's going to start pressuring with a mangonel, as with the siege weapon he'll be able to blow up these buildings a lot faster. Seoul does not want to sit here and defend all day idly. He is going to go aggressive with these 5 crossbowmen. But he's already badly outnumbered. He's housed right now. That's devastating. He's been housed for quite a while, and he's just so far behind in military population here. Will those 5 forward crossmen really make a difference? We're going to find out. He does a Bodkin arrow, another town center coming up from Mentalist on his main gold. And we see these crossbowmen pushing out here. Another, so a town center coming down from both players at their main gold mines. And an engagement is going on here with these crossbowmen. But remember, guys, Seoul severely outnumbered here. He only has 5 crossbowmen on this front line area, and we have 7 for Mentalist. Now, it's going to be a lot harder for Mentalist to be able to reinforce this line, as he only has a forward siege workshop in our archery ranges, but he has a siege workshop here, and Seoul does not yet. And this here Mangonel does outrange the town center, and he can just apply so much more pressure. Also, Mangonel's great against crossbowmen. He gets 2 crossbowmen with that Mangonel shot. Totally worth it there. But a single lone Eagle Warrior, the hero from Seoul. What a great decision on his part. Gonna make 1 Eagle Warrior and try and take down this Mangonel, but this Mangonel is up on a hill, so it's taking less damage, and it's getting repaired by this villager. This Mangonel might not die, and it's gonna get another 2 crossbowmen here. In the meantime, Seoul killing a lot of villagers back in Mentalist's own base, and this Mangonel will just not die, because that hill, wow, the hill advantage there, and plus the repair, so Mentalist responding phenomenally there by just repairing that Mangonel. He got to wipe out that entire force of crossmen in this early stage of the game. You cannot afford to lose your army like that. Devastating losses for Seoul, but Seoul applying lots of pressure in Mentalist's own base. Mentalist has no military here. He's gonna have to think of something. And his hope here, his plan is to hope that Seoul walks right into that town center and just loses a couple crossbowmen for free. Another engagement going on over here between our red and blue players. 3 on 2. And we see a new challenger approaching. But the focus fire here down from Seoul will be enough to be able to gun down these crossbowmen. But the home field advantage, Mentalist is able to constantly produce crossbowmen. These guys going down. Although I do have to say that Seoul's aggression here paid off immensely. He got to delay this town center for a super long time, also force a lot of aggression here. Like, Mentalist didn't get that town center down, and now he's going to start building it. Defensive siege workshop here from Seoul. He's going to be able to make some mangonels. Mangonel is going to be instrumental here, especially if you're behind in military population. You absolutely have to make some mangonels, as they're the great equalizer. We're talking 44 to 50 population, so a 6 population difference here, as Mentalist slightly in the lead. But Seoul has the better KD, which is why he is ahead in score. Well, I say that. He's ahead in the score perhaps for other reasons, but either way, well, now his KD's looking pretty good as he gets to, bop 2 of those crossmen in the head and back out here. Micro's going to be so very important. He's going to use the attack ground function to try and take out these crossmen, but he's going to miss the shot. We're going to see how good the micro is here from Mentalist, as he's just trying to move here and make sure that he doesn't stand still for too long. Exploit the minimum range of that mangonel, and he does manage to take it down, but then he eats a huge mangonel shot to the face and loses a bunch of crossbowmen. So right now we're pretty neck and neck here, but Seoul has to watch out. Can he do the same thing? Ooh, it's a good attack ground here from Mentalist. Is able to take down one of those crossmen. He's using the split formation guys to try and split up his archers to make it really hard for them to hit. When you go for something like a split formation, when you change the formation of your troops, they do move like super fast in that brief period of time. It's a great way to go juke those shots. I cannot stress enough how much I really like Seoul's decision to make that Eagle Warrior later. And look, here comes another Eagle Warrior coming in here to go try and take out that Mangonel. Split formation here from Seoul as he wants to avoid that shot. This Eagle Warrior going to take advantage of that Mangonel's minimum range, can't hit melee units at its feet, and the single Scorpion here is an interesting choice, as the Scorpion's going to be better against these Eagle Warriors, and it's going to be a lot harder to micro against than said Mangonel, because you can only dodge Scorpion shots by walking perpendicular. They fire like a piercing bolt in a line in front of them. Whereas with the Mangonel, you can run like in any direction as long as their shot misses. This one Eagle Warrior is going to be pretty good, but he's just behind in military population. His Mentalist still kind of ahead here. Scorpion shot, again, is just going to be a little bit harder to juke. You can still dodge it. Mentalist just putting on so very much pressure. He's been on 3 TCs for a little while now, and Seoul just got his 3rd one up at the top over there. The Scorpion, though, is going to be extremely weak to the Mangonel shots. Both players here fighting, but this is so very much in favor of Mentalist as Seoul has to focus his attention down on that Scorpion with his own Mangonel. In the meantime, Mentalist has Seoul outnumbered here, so he's able to do a lot of damage to this crossman. But he does have to pull out because the Scorpion's dead, and without a Mangonel of his own, he can't really contest this fight here. And those crossmen are going to indeed back up. Mangonel's so good against these mass ranged units because they have AoE damage. They also take a lot less from ranged units with the 6 ranged armor. Strong! Thank you, Flatch. He says your commentary is amazing. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Alright, so we see another engagement going on over here, but again, Mentalist just a little bit ahead in terms of the population department, where we have 63 guys to 74. So Mentalist is ahead by 11 population right now, and a huge chunk of that is just crossbowmen. But Seoul might be able to pull ahead here, as Mentalist is wasting a lot of resources on this attack, and he hasn't been able to accomplish too much. That Scorpion really didn't do anything, unfortunately. We'll see if Seoul can hold the line and pull ahead here. Now, the important thing to keep in mind is that even though Seoul's the one defending, it's not like he's behind in military because he has a larger population. He just doesn't. He's not ahead on... He didn't choose to build an extra town center to cut military production and try and defend. Like, there's no gambit here from Seoul. They're both on 3 town centers, but Mentalist is just ahead. So Seoul's defending, but for what? He's not really building any sort of incremental lead here, and he's going to have to take a risk and send his army forward and see how that goes. Robo, hello. Welcome to the stream. I didn't have time to get the spectator dashboard overlay thing. I've never used it before. I didn't have time to get it today because this is a last-minute match that I was asked to cast, so... Yeah, I just did it because Zach is asleep right now, as this is a ridiculous time for him. So Mangonel here on defense, going to try and defend this here town center. I'll get the spectator overlay soon. I just got back from vacation, Robo, so I haven't had a chance to like install it. It's the 1940s? Yeah, it's the 1940s. Har har har, the Black Winds, har har har. Well, so moving forward, going to try and, you know, shrink the gap between both players' economies. He's going to be poking at these villagers, forcing a little bit of idle time from Mentalist. This is pretty substantial, to be honest. 8 plus 5, that's a lot of villagers inside that town center not gathering resources for that short period of time. But Mentalist is going to pull back here. This is another reason why going on the aggressive here when you're behind is a good idea, as well, assuming that you think you can defend with just Mangonels. By bringing his crossman forward and leaving the Mangonel back, the Mangonel is a good way to, you know, discourage this crossman aggression, and then he can bring his crossbowman forward so that Mentalist has to go retreat his army to go defend his own base. He's gonna go block this area off, which is smart, and that way, you know, Seoul can't squeeze his way into Mentalist's wood line. Both players here are going to do a little bit of that engagement action, but this is going to probably favor Mentalist here, as Mentalist got the first few shots. We're going to see some focus fire down. Try not to split your focus between the crossmen so you can do as much damage as possible, and he is going to clean that army up just barely. So Seoul going to lose so many crossbowmen here, and in the meantime, the Aztec Mangonels on defense. We have 2 Mangonels here. It's going to take a miracle for Mentalist to be able to out-micro this situation. We'll see if he'll be able to go do just that, though. Ooh, he's going to lose, I think, 3 crossbowmen there to that Mangonel shot. He's going to try and move up into melee range, but he's just getting bodied by these Mangonel shots. Yeah, with 2 Mangonels, it's going to be really hard with the group of crossbowmen that small. I do like, though, that he's running, like, so close to these Mangonels so that the 2 Mangonels don't want to fire because they might actually hit each other with the area of effect. He's going to garrison some villas here, snipe off that crossman. Both players here, their forward aggression not doing anything. But the thing here, though, is that even though Seoul is, like, strictly, like, a little bit behind Mentalist, Mentalist is, like, Actually, both players are very, very close to the Imperial Age, but Mentalist is just ahead by, well over, wow, he's like 15 pop lead. That's pretty substantial. So, yeah, even though Seoul is just behind in population, both players here are on their way to the Imperial Age to try and mass Elite Eagle Warriors. It's just what Aztec players do, man. Seoul has the one benefit. There's this forward siege workshop here that just really won't be able to get too much done. So, yeah, maybe that's enough to go make up for this population discrepancy. We'll see. Both players up in the Imperial Age at, like, exactly the same time. Metal is going to be bringing in some relics. He's going to start needing that gold when he's just pumping out eagles, and here it comes, the Imperial Age Eagle Warrior Flood. Both players here going to be just spamming Eagle Warriors, and Eagle Warriors aren't the strongest unit in the Castle Age, but boy, once you get to the Imperial Age, they're really good. They are really, really strong. I mean, you can just spam them incredibly quickly with the Aztecs 15% faster unit production. You get that Elite Eagle Warrior upgrade, and it's a lot harder for your opponent to counter them in the early Castle Age. I mean, the early Imperial Age, like, it's a lot harder to tag in something like Jaguar Warriors in the specific matchup. In order to get champions, you'd have to get 2 innate swordsmen and champion. So that's when the Eagle Warriors start to really do well. Because you can mass a bunch of Eagle Warriors in the Castle Age, and once you get to Imp, you can get that Elite Eagle Warrior upgrade and just go ham on your opponent. And, well, we see a bunch of raiding going on here, but Mentalist is going to be defending with his own Eagles, not going to be moving out, and Seoul going to get stopped right in his tracks. He's not going to be able to push in this specific situation, as Mentalist has the Iron Defense. These Eagle Warriors just going to die here, and going in like that is maybe a mistake, to be honest, just because both of their Imperial Ages were, like, at the same time. I think Seoul's, like, a little bit desperate, and that he just wanted to do as much damage as he could, maybe hope to catch his opponent off guard, but, like, losing, like, 10 Eagle Warriors by going in there, when both of you are up to the Imperial Age at the same time, that just means he's going to be, like, super behind in military. It's just going to set him even further behind, and he's taking another engagement that there's no way he can win. I don't think he should have been going in here. I think he should just be sitting back. I think he should have just been sitting back, like, massing up his guys and trying to, shrink that lead between both players here, as there's just, Seoul still behind in population. Not by a substantial margin, but he's still a little bit behind. Oh, I can Serenity. Sick. Did not know that. Hello, Dazoo. Welcome to the stream. So, I don't really know if he should have honestly gotten into that situation. And I think we see a little bit of difference in playstyle here, as we have the max defense upgrade here from Seoul prioritized over forging, as Mentalist did end up getting forging. But now the Seoul, okay, now this is a favorable fight for Seoul, as he does have one upgrade over his opponent. He does have the max level defense upgrade. So now, even with even numbers or even more numbers from Mentalist, he might be able to win this fight. It's gonna be really, really tricky to go figure that one out. We shall see. Still, though, I think he's just gonna be behind because he's been throwing so many eagles away. I think he should do something in this case besides to try and mirror his opponent when he was, like, behind from population at the start. He's kind of relying on Mentalist just playing less efficiently here. In his shoes, and it's always easier in retrospect, of course. It's a lot harder to do this when you're actually playing, but in retrospect, I mean, maybe going for Jaguar Warriors would have been a good idea here. I'm just speculating, but I think the Jaguar Warriors could have been a good idea. It's like in the Castle Age when you're dealing with mass crossmen and you're just behind in crossmen. I think that you want to be thinking about the mangonels to trade favorably with your opponent rather than just, fight 15 versus 20 crossmen. You're not going to win that. But with the mangonel, you can trade efficiently. And, God, speaking of trading efficiently, this is as inefficient as it gets. As Seoul's going to lose another army here to Mentalist. And he's just going to be pulling ahead in the population department. 117 to 100. And I think this is Mentalist's cue to move out. I would like to see champions, Jags, some sort of counter unit. Or him just not trying to, attack in there. I don't know, maybe he could, like, try a split attack of some sort. I don't really know, but I feel like just mimicking your opponent when you're a little bit behind can be bad news bears, and he might just not end up winning this engagement because of that. We see that, of course, Mentalist just sitting back trying to build up as much of a lead as he can, only to get housed, which is unfortunate, as that is going to cut his military production down a little bit, gives Seoul plenty of time to catch back up, but Seoul's still behind in military production. Will he be able to catch back up? I don't think he will be able to by just continuing playing this exact same way he is right now. Defensive castle coming down here from Mentalist. I like this positioning as it will be able to defend both of those gold mines, and it also, protects this choke point area, makes it harder for Seoul to engage there. And, Seoul wants to engage here so he can cut off, like, the production of Mentalist's units. If he can, like, win this battle, then Mentalist guys will spawn, like, one at a time and they'll just get cleaned up. So this castle here is just absolutely phenomenal. And with the wall up back here, I mean, it just kind of funnels those guys into that castle. And again, Mentalist is going to barely barely come out on top of this because he's the home field advantage, and without a substantial army, this just seems too risky, as Seoul's just going to lose all of his guys yet again. And Mentalist with said castle, I wonder if he'll make any jags. We'll find out. Well, a couple eagles left at the back here to try and go clear out this forward, to clear out a couple houses, clear out that siege workshop, discourage Mentalist from actually building any units, and we'll see how that turns out, as Mentalist is going to be able to send a couple of his eco warriors forward here, as he knows that he has this castle. He's going to build a couple jags, which is great. I mean, counters are just so substantial in the late game when you can finally afford them. As Eagle Warriors start to get worse and worse as the clock goes on, as they're just so easily countered by Jaguar Warriors. And Mentalist is able to afford them now as the game goes on. He's inevitably going to have more castles, more money, he'll have more time to get Jags out. And this is when things get bad. As Mentalist has a couple Eagles that he's able to send forward, he knows he's able to defend with said castle, with a couple Jags over here. He does have this area open as he has been clearing out this stone mine, so Seoul is able to, deal some damage here, cleared a couple vills. Mentalist is going to... It's going to be a while before Mentalist actually gets in here. He's going to split his army in half, and this is important because if he put the Jags with the rest of his army would have moved a lot slower. So it's a really good thing that he put the Jaguar Warriors in their own army, I think. Well, Seoul's going to try and do whatever he can. Raiding is, of course, one of the great equalizers. He's trying to clear out as many villagers as he can, get these guys just chasing. And he's doing some pretty good damage with this raiding, as the ones that Mentalist sent forward haven't actually accomplished anything yet. They might now, though, but Seoul has a couple Eagle Warriors on defense duty. Oh, there's still this open hole right here, so Mentalist might be able to do some damage with said Eagles. All these villagers are actually going to evacuate in time. In the meantime, Mentalist, able to successfully defend at his own base, combined with the Jaguar Warriors. He has the Garland Wars upgrade. He is strong now. Strong. Whereas Seoul does not have Garland Wars. He doesn't have Blast Furnace either. Mentalist right now really wants that Elite Jaguar Warrior upgrade. He might not be able to get it though, but that's fine. I mean, just having Jags in general is good enough. Like, considering that he has those infantry upgrades, he has Blast Furnace, he has Garland Wars, give it a ton of attack. He has a bunch of defense upgrades too. He's doing fine. Hello, Ashy Sky. Good to see you, dude. I love the decision to go for Jaguar Warriors here, because both players here are just kind of mirroring each other, right? And in this case, the Jaguar Warriors are just able to trade so very efficiently with Seoul's Eagles. And gold is finite, of course. This is not an 8-player size map. This is tiny. Gold is finite. You must use it very, very carefully. And Seoul has a castle up now. A reason why he tried to go for Eagles of his own, I mean, really, like, he didn't want to forfeit all that pressure. Obviously, by going for something like Jaguar Warriors at first, you have to build said castle. It takes forever. You must build the castle and get all the techs for it. And you forfeit a lot of pressure, and then he thought the Mentalist would probably be able to just snowball the game off that. If he didn't keep Mentalist contained in his own base, Seoul thought he could probably... I'm assuming he thought that he could just build up off the back of just keeping Mentalist contained and worm his way back in this. If you compare populations right now, Seoul's so very far behind. 73 to 140 is about half the population of Mentalist. Due to Mentalist having just Jaguar Warriors and... Wow! And Seoul just throwing away a lot of his army. To that castle and just aggressive Eagle Warrior trade. So Seoul going to call GG here, and GG well played. Both players here, Mentalist and Seoul, did great. It was a fun old game too. I think this game, a huge chunk of it boiled down to just Seoul just trying to be really aggressive and just force his way in there, and he just wasn't able to actually get past Mentalist guys. As Mentalist did have the home field advantage here, and he was able to just outproduce Seoul. Seoul had to walk his guys all the way across the map. Another big chunk of this, of course, was Seoul's map. Leaves a little something to be desired, as he does indeed have that huge hill there, which allowed Mentalist to apply so much substantial early pressure with said siege workshop and whatnot. And Mentalist was just able to get out his third TC slightly sooner, just kind of snowballed the game off that. This was a really, really solid game, though. The Aztec mirrors are actually pretty interesting as far as mirror civs go, at least in my personal opinion, because you just have access to a lot more units. And oh, whoops, I hit quick on our game without checking the achievements, so my bad, guys. That was a misclick. Normally I would check the achievements, but that is fine. We'll do it next time, guys. Alrighty, so we're going to be back with the next game of the live stream really, really soon, so don't go anywhere, guys. Do not go anywhere. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you've all been enjoying the tournament thus far. I know I have, and we're going to be jumping straight into Game 3 as soon as everyone's ready. It looks like the game is about to start, so now I just have to wait for the spectator delay. So we're going to be back in about 1 to 2 minutes, guys. We're looking for more Age of Empires 2 action. I have a YouTube channel, plenty of stuff there. Find it underneath the stream. I also have my Twitch schedule there. You scroll underneath the video player. You never have to miss a stream. Hello, Jay Smallman. Good to see you. Okay, guys. We will return shortly. GG, well played. Moving on to the next game.